What can we learn from politicians and advocacy groups about building a better internet company? Hey everyone, I'm Andrew Warner. I'm the founder of mixergy.com and I do interviews to learn how to build a better internet company. So I recently spoke with Curt and Randy of the Revere Strategy Group about how they help politicians and how they help advocacy groups build their presence on the internet and then build a movement online. I wanted to see what you and I could learn by reaching outside of the usual internet company examples and speaking to politicians and speaking to people in politics. You can download my full interview with them and listen to all their ideas for yourself. It's a jam-packed hour-long conversation, and here are some tips that I wrote down myself. Number one, fight. I asked them why it was that some politicians were using every social network out there. Think about John Edwards, for example. He was on everything, on Facebook, on YouTube, on services that don't exist anymore. Why is it that some people use everything, still don't build a big movement and don't raise money and don't get votes, while others use just a few and end up with a much bigger presence? One of the things they pointed out to me is that people who are fighters end up building a better movement on the internet. Those who are trying to continue the status quo or aren't even fighting enough, they're not going to build as strong a presence on the internet. So think about Barack Obama and how he was a revolutionary character, a revolutionary politician, on the internet. Think about how John McCain, how in his first run for the presidency, he was able to build a movement on the internet because he was the outsider, because he was the fighter, he was the straight talker. All right, let's move on to the second one. Number two, rough. They said to me over and over again that being rough instead of being polished and edited on the internet ends up doing better for politicians. So for example, John McCain, when he ran out of money and stopped doing those highly polished videos in the beginning of his campaign and switched to rougher videos where he just had his sleeves rolled up and was speaking to a camera, ended up doing much better on the internet and connecting with people much more. So maybe the fact that I have this clipboard instead of a polished video here might be helping me. All right, number three, television. I hate to say this because I'm an internet person, but what they told me was that being on television, of course, helps a politician build his online movement. Ron Paul, for example, ended up getting a much bigger audience online because he had an audience on television when he got into the debates. And we heard this before. If you listen to my interview with Tim Sykes, he said the same thing to me, that by being on a reality TV show, he was able to grow his audience on the internet. I hate to say it because we think of television as old media, but it's still one of the most powerful mediums there is. Finally here, I've got a note about microsites. They told me that some of the politicians they work with, actually all politicians, aren't loved by everybody. So what they do is they create a small microsite for a politician's pet cause to attract people who may not agree with a politician's every move, but might agree with that pet cause. So if you're pro-drilling as a politician, you might create a pro-drilling website just to bring in people who agree with you on that issue, but not with any of the other issues. If you're against pork, you might create an anti-pork website or microsite just to give people space to talk and to find information about that one cause, and then hopefully you can move them in towards your overall goal of getting a vote or getting people to join your bigger advocacy group. Now, these are just, I've got 4 ideas here on my clipboard. We have so many others that we talked about. We talked about how politicians use email. We talked about, here's my favorite one, and you should listen to the conversation just for this tip alone, about how politicians and how movements like MoveOn.org use petitions to get enthusiasm for their causes, but also to build up a mailing list. Very powerful stuff. Listen to these 2 guys as they teach me, and I guarantee you're going to learn ideas that will help you build your presence online. Download it right now from mixergy.com, and until next time, my name is Andrew Warner, and I'll see you at a Mixergy event.